Saving is something that you have to learn, you must learn how to do. If you don't know how to save, you're going to end up with nothing. You must learn how to save. Don't get confused with saving and investing and all that. I'm using it as a general term. But you must know how to save. Once you have some money put away, then you can learn what to do to deploy it. There's ways you call certain financial instruments called saving, certain financial instruments called investing. I like to prefer this as how are you going to deploy your money in a method that suits you. Okay? A method that suits you. So I'm going to talk about savings and what you need to do, because if you retire and you have nothing saved, you are dead in the water. You cannot rely on the government to take care of you. Talk about today, we're going to talk about saving money. Saving money is the determination of the word saving has a very ambiguous meaning. And some people say, oh, you're saving money, you're losing money. And then there's investing money. There's all sorts of things. What I really want to talk about is, what do you have left in the bank at the end of each month, at the end of each year, and at the point of retirement? What have you saved? The first thing you got to worry about or think about, don't like to use the word worry. First thing you have to think about is, what is your income? Let me get a piece of paper here. Income. How much money do you make? Income. Here you have a little box, and that's money coming in. Income. Right? Then you have outcome. I'm just going to pick on the word outcome. That's money coming out. Income and outcome. And very simply put, that at the end of the month, do you have more or less money in the bank? That's plain and simple. And you, at the age of 20, 21, on average, start to work. And then at the age of, let's pick an age, 65, you retire. So let's put 20 to 65. Okay. How many years is that? 20. 60 is 45 years. How much money do you need to have in the bank available to you when you retire? The average person, the man lives to be what, 82 years old or something like that, and the average woman 85 or something like that. So let's say you live to be in your mid 80s. So at 65, you're going to live to be 85. Go to 85 years. If you have a lifestyle that costs you $100,000 a year, right? That means at the age of 65, you're going to live on average another 20 years. If you have $100,000 a year expenses, that means 20 times 100,000 is $2 million. You're going to have $2 million saved up at the age of 65, because you're not going to be making any more money. You're going to be burning money. Now your expenses are going to change. At this point, hopefully your house is paid off. Many people live in apartments. If you live in an apartment, that means you're going to be paying until death rent. And that rent's going to go up and up and up and stick with whatever the current rent is. So you're going to have to figure out how to live for 20 years on $2 million. Now, that seems like a good deal. And let's just pick $2 million because that sounds fantastic. And at the age of 85, you have nothing left in the bank. So after that, you get evicted, you lose your house, you go out on the street. So you got to decide, with the way my family operates, am I going to live to be 85, more or less? So if you're using this methodology, if you don't live to 85, that's good. If you live past 85, you're kind of SOL. The one thing they do say about money is that when you're young, you have different expenses. And by the time you get old, you have no expenses. Your house is paid off, right? So you have your time. You're going to die. Start work. When you're young, you have no money, zero money. When you retire, you want that 2 million. Let's just leave it 2 million. So you start to work, save that money, right? It's how much money you have. It's dollars in the. When you're young, right? You have I can't think of the word right now, responsibilities. Right? Your responsibilities are high. And as you get old, they go to zero. Zero response. Maximum responsibilities. When they mean maximum responsibilities, it means you have house payments, mortgage, you have children, you have kids. I had what? They say $250,000 per kid to raise, probably more than that. You have cars, automobiles, you have all sorts of responsibilities. And so the problem is, if you die with all these responsibilities early, you're going to leave your family behind. You're not going to be one that's hurting. You're dead. Your family's the one that's going to be hurting. And your wife's going to have to go out, or your husband's going to go out. Since I'm a man, I'm going to pick the wife goes out and has to find a new husband. So that's the whole goal. And by the time you the kids are going to be out of school, your house is going to be paid off, but there's still going to be things that you're going to start to incur otherwise. You're going to start to get medical expenses. And I'm looking at my mom and dad. My mom and dad pretty much have not that many expenses. Their house is paid off. They're the only thing that they really have to pay is their insurance for the house, taxes on the house, things like that of that nature. So their expenses are very low. The major expenses that they have coming in is going to be medical expenses, because as you age, you start to get on pills and medications and things like of that nature. So the biggest issue that the elderly have is medical expenses. So what ends up happening as you build your wealth, you start to end up with that $2 million. So what they really sometimes will say is that you don't have that much money. Now, what really makes the person, if you have that $2 million and you have that put away in some sort of investment, right? Or savings or whatever you want to call it, you've got to put somewhere where it's yielding some sort of cash flow. And let's say $2 million at 10% per year, what's that? 10 million, 10% per year is what, $200,000 a year, right? Let me get my calculator out. That's 200,000 because you just moved the decimal over one spot. So you actually, if you saved it, if you got it, but if you're making only 5% on your money, then that's 1 million. You also got to take into account that over that 20 years, you've got to take into account inflation. So these are things that are all going to erode your money. The people have worked hard to save, have put that. Most people, they got children. They got other responsibilities. They don't think about putting money away for the rainy day. The rainy day is coming. It could come here. It could come here. It could come here. You just hopefully that it'll come here, and it won't be, you'll be spending money. So you've got the rainy day coming. So what you have to do is figure out, what am I going to do with that money? If you have the money set aside, and the other thing you're going to take is, look, inflation is 3%? It depends. It fluctuates. But the government tries to take care of inflation. I'm going to, in my opinion, inflation is going to go up, which means that every year at a 3% inflation, that your money goes, what you can pay $1 for, it is going to be worth 97 cents on the dollar. And then 3% of that is going to be like to 96 cents or 95 cents. And so your dollar becomes less and less. And so what a dollar was worth here when you were 20, at 65 is not worth nearly that much. So what happens is time eats away at your money with inflation. So what you've done is you've raised your $2 million, and then you're going to live off of that. The biggest issue I've seen with people is they may be driving nice cars, have all the nice things in life, but they're not putting away a penny for their future. And a lot of them don't really care to think about that. The people who are successful, that seem to have all the things in life at the end, have been doing this since they were young. While your friends are going out and partying and having a great time, you're the one that's shoving the money in the little piggy bank, trying to figure out what to do. When I started really, it's hard to understand how money works until money works for you. When you can work 16, 18 hours a day, pull in $100,000 a year, whatever, $50,000 a year, it doesn't really matter. But when you go to bed and wake up and you've got some sort of a money that's cash flowing for you, and you've got an extra $500 in the bank each month for something that your money is doing, that's really an amazing situation. And you get into what they call a snowball effect, where that money keeps going in and in and in until you get so much money coming in that it doesn't matter anymore. We have people like Kiyosaki that talks about saving versus investing. Let's just talk about putting money away. The IRS has a terminology for savings versus investing. But the primary thing is, put your money away, put it somewhere. It's better to have money saved for a rainy day, and then try to figure out, what am I going to do with this money, to invest it somehow or put it somewhere. I don't like the word investing, to put it somewhere where it will cash flow for you. And the better the percentage return on that cash flow, the richer you will be. And if you get that money working for you, you'll never have to work again at some point. So here's the goal. So the problem is, if you're here at 20 years old and you want to be here at 65, what happens if 20, that's 45, that's what's that, 40, 20, 30, 40, that's 45 years. What happens if you don't start saving until right here, halfway through? You've lost 20 years. Let's just pick that number as a round number. It gets harder and harder and harder to catch up because you haven't started putting any money away. Start to put money away early. It will reap you dividends in your life when you get to this age up here. There's people who end up with nothing. Don't let that happen to you.